recently retired from NASA after 27 years with NASA, 10 years in private industry, and I have been engaged by the embassy here in Qatar, in Doha, to give some lectures to students and to the general public about the benefit of investing in the space program, the benefit of educating people in the space, and space exploration in general.
As you know, that Qatar is launching Sahelsat satellite in 2010, and they're looking forward to launch another satellite in 2018. How do you see this program, the space program in Qatar?
So I think that in entering the space market by utilizing a commercial model, much like Sat. So I'm having trouble with the pronunciation. How do you pronounce that? Sahel. So I believe that entering the commercial market is a great way to get into the commercial space program. And I have heard that they've reached their capacity of their first satellite, and so they need to launch the second satellite so they can continue to serve the needs of their customers. I think that's a fantastic, speaks volumes for the way the program's being run and for how effective the satellite must be in terms of serving the Gulf region here.
During your service in NASA, what kind of cooperation between NASA and Qatar?
So over the course of my career, I haven't had any cooperation between NASA and Qatar, but as Qatar emerges as space with a space program, there probably will be opportunities for scientists to engage with each other, to work together, and then maybe someday down the road, maybe there will be a project.
Back to investment in space, investment in space. As you take before, what kind of benefit from investment in space, in exploration and mining, as you know, that Gulf is and oil countries? So
there's lots of opportunity when a country invests in space to do lots of different things. Some of the things that we've done at NASA is we put together a mission, a cooperative mission that looks at, it measures actually the gravity, the change in gravity as satellites go around the Earth. And some really smart mathematicians have been able to turn that into changes in water tables. So you can see where the water is and isn't, whether or not it's rising or falling. And when you look at that, you can also see where the oil reserves are. So these satellites produce data that will be useful for people that are trying to manage their own resources, for nations that are trying to manage their own resources.
And that means to use the technology that to reduce the cost of the exploration.
Certainly, it would reduce the cost of exploration because it would tell you what regions to go explore on the ground. Yes.
And how do you see the future challenge of this industry, space industry?
So I see the future challenges of the space industry as one that engages commerce more effectively, right? The space industry up until really recently has been the domain of nations and governments. But now space is getting available to everybody. And with things like the internet and cloud computing and crowdsourcing and the fact that the cost of satellites is coming down, it's now available to more and more people, even private enterprise and commercial enterprise.
How do you end up working in NASA?
How did I end up working at NASA? Do you really want that story?
If anyone...
So, when I was in college, in the mid-70s, the microchip was just becoming popular. And I had played with the microchip in my physics lab. I was a physics major at the time. And I had looked at the cash registers in grocery stores, and I said, someday these are going to be enabled by microchip. There'll be computers in these cash registers. Back then they were mechanical devices. And so when I was leaving college, I applied to become a designer of cash registers. Well, the mistake I made was that the cash register company, they weren't hiring physicists, they were hiring electrical engineers. And so what I did was, I did not get hired by a cash register company, and so I had to go with my second choice, which was aerospace. And the aerospace industry was hiring physicists because at the time they were concerned about how to make satellites last longer in space and the problem of radiation in space on the satellites. So that's how I ended up working in the aerospace industry and ultimately at NASA.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Adam, for your time.
It's been a pleasure.